Today I'd like to share with you some pertinent questions you may like to ask prior to signing a lengthy photocopier or printer lease. I hope this helps you avoid any of the pitfalls or hidden costs that may be incurred throughout the period of the lease, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. So firstly, leasing can be a great way to purchase your equipment. It can enable you to spread an otherwise quite large sum of money over a longer period of time, typically 3 or 5 years, and keep the money in your bank or purchase equipment that you perhaps couldn't afford to spend that kind of money on in one lump sum. Secondly, it can be 100% tax deductible depending on the kind of contract that you choose, and your provider should be able to help you with which is the best lease option for you and for your particular circumstances. So with regards to the kind of questions to ask, typically a contract will be for your physical equipment in your premises, not for the service. So to have your equipment, you'll be paying a monthly or quarterly sum of money throughout the entire period to have that equipment there, facility there. For your service, there's a number of ways it can be done, and it's best that you ask whether it's tied into your lease or whether it's very separate. If it's separate, it will be a cost per copy, and you'll be billed usually monthly for the number of copies you produce. You need to ask whether there's a minimum billing associated to this. So this is quite important at the moment because many people aren't producing copies and they're not in their offices. So if there's minimum billing, they would still be paying. With no minimum billing, you'd not be charged anything at all for the last several months whilst you've not been in your offices, but the service should still be covered by your provider. The next question to ask is, are there any annual incremental increases? Easy for you to say. If there are, then, and it's tied into the lease, then you have no choice but to pay those additional fees every year upon year until the end of the lease. A good provider should provide you a 12-month contract, and it should be your choice at each of the 12-month steps as to whether you choose to remain with that provider if they've proved their value to you in the service that they provide. And again, the lease is very separate. And the next question to ask is, what happens at the end of the lease? So there's a number of ways that the monthly figure can appear less, and it's quite important that you find out what happens at the end, because that will have affected that figure. So there should be no balloon payment at the end of the lease, and there shouldn't be a secondary rental period at the end of the lease if you're purchasing the equipment. If it's a lease purchase, then you should be paying a small title payment at the end of the period, and that title will pass to your provider, and on payment of you providing your payment to the provider, they will pass title to yourself, and you then physically own the equipment. It's then your choice as to whether you want to continue to service and maintain that machine. If it's been serviced well, there's no reason you couldn't carry on with it. If you then choose to upgrade it and replace it, if your needs have changed, then you should be able to trade it in because you own that piece of equipment, and then start again with a new machine. So I hope this helps. Feel free to ask. There's lots more factors I've been happy to help you with, and feel free to contact me if you have any questions. Thank you. Have a great day.